Yeah.
Um, yeah, maybe give it a few minutes here, obviously, because I don't know who's all been signed in here. Um, like it's just us and Dan so far, or am I missing something?
Oh, yeah. Bruce is on here. So
Yeah, hopefully, hopefully
welcome
get
in,
some of
Bruce.
the, hopefully get some of the other participants that are outside of the
Yeah.
education committee. So
Yeah.
before I start.
Well, Joel, this is Dan Pratt. I'm actually here. My camera's taking a day off, I guess. So,
No worries, Dan. We saw you on there. Thanks. We're gonna give it some more time. Give it 5 more minutes, or yeah, no more than five, and two hops on here. So
I'm dealing with a little bit of a construction issue too, so you might hear me typing here and there.
no worries, Steve.
Oh,
If it's too loud, we'll just say mute.
Or if I get a phone call.
Sure.
oh yeah. Thank you. I'll mute my phone. That would be appropriate.
Well, here's hoping the 14 that registered show up, Michelle.
Yeah, I know. Kind of a bummer here. Like I said, there were some good people
Yeah,
on this list too. I was looking forward to having this
me too.
introduced to. Yeah.
I know. So I guess we'll give it some time here and make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of recording.
sure. That's a
But
good
it's
point, Todd.
but it is the season when the wheels fall off, for surveyors, especially if they're involved in construction like Steve. So
Sure. That's a good point, Todd. We could still um, maybe have a conversation.
yeah,
So
the, yeah, the recording has value.
sure. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
We can push that out and people can watch it at their convenience and they may get some value out of that. So
Yeah, well, we'll tell you what, Todd, with that in mind, we'll just go ahead and get started.
okay, cool.
So I'm just going to run through this real quick. So, yeah, good morning, everyone. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. I know how valuable everyone's time is, so choosing to be here, or if you're watching this on a recording now, I appreciate it. A little bit about myself first. My name is Joel East. I am the current chair of the MSPS Education Committee, as well as secretary to the board. My role as the chair of the Education Committee is to help MSPS create opportunities statewide for both licensed and unlicensed individuals. In particular, this year, that has resulted in some lunch and learns. We have the Surveyors Boot Camp coming up this September, and some ongoing collaboration that we've had with Mr. Todd Horton, who is on the call today. Todd's been a strong advocate in helping MSPS create the necessary curriculum for training, for technician training, and I'm sure he'll chime in today uh, throughout our conversation. The real purpose of our conversation today, and if I could ask the question, why are we all here today? Simply put, if you were to look at it I guess, from a micro perspective, the goal of MSPS leadership is to continue to create the necessary infrastructure for what we consider to be a self-sustaining technician program. If you were to look at it from more of a macro perspective, I suppose, MSPS leadership is envisioning what we would consider more of a cultural shift. And what do I mean by this cultural shift? Well, in the past, structured technician training hasn't really been a part of our culture. We are in a time when the days of the 3-person crews and the mentorship is getting lost. In some cases, the 2-person crew is getting lost. I see a lot of, and I'm sure anybody watching this now or involved with this conversation, maybe you've been a part of, maybe you've been in the field as a 1-person crew. Maybe you've used the technology, and with the advent of new technology, total stations that are robotic and GPS, a lot of those days are gone. And I'm sure a lot of you have been to conferences. If you've had conversations with other surveyors, there has always been, at least in my experience, this sense of frustration that mentorship is gone, the training is gone, and the need for a technician training program has never been greater because of that. And this cultural shift, that I guess you could call it, that MSPS is attempting to make, is in my mind, a direct result of all of the advances that we have seen in technology. So from a bigger perspective, that's the overall goal here, is this cultural shift. So with that said, and I suppose I wanted to introduce myself too. I did, but I also wanted to kind of give Todd and Steve Clifford, who are on. Steve's a part of the education committee. And like I said, this is going to be more of a conversation. I don't want to hear myself talk the whole time. So in a moment, I'll give Steve and Todd an opportunity to introduce themselves. The last thing that I just wanted to say was why we are here, right? The other kind of final piece as to why we're here. And simply put, that is that we're hoping that some of you watching this, or whether you're here today, have some interest in making a visit to the boot camp next month, just to see what it's all about, to see what it is we're trying to accomplish here at MSPS through the collaboration with Todd, the education committee, and give everybody an opportunity just to see what's happening. So with that said, I wanted to give Todd and Steve a quick opportunity to introduce themselves, just so that they can explain their role and their past experiences with the education committee and some of the technician training we have going on now. So Todd, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you first, if you want to take over.
Thanks, Joel, and appreciate the invitation to join you with this event online and the recording that comes from it. Just for background's sake, I am a professional land surveyor and a professional engineer in Illinois. I spent after some time in the Air Force and also working for the Illinois Department of Transportation, running projects. I joined the full-time faculty at Parkland College, which is a community college in Champaign, Illinois. I taught construction management and started the land survey program there many years ago. I taught there for 25 years. The land survey program is still doing great, especially under the leadership of my successor, Corey Allred. And but I continue to do technician training is my focus, but also continuing ed for the land surveying industry. Also, in my I'm really kind of semi-retired. I work part-time for a company called Farnsworth Group. We're mostly in Illinois and Colorado, but we work around the Midwest and work as a senior project land surveyor for them. So that's where I'm coming from. Steve, how about you?
My name's Steve Clifford. I am guess you'd call me a lifetime survey tech, to put it bluntly. I'm not licensed, but I have been in the business for close to 40 years now. I've taught a class at my community college for a dozen years or so, teaching survey, uh, just the basics of surveying, just to give people knowledge of what surveying is and how it fits to construction staking and how the construction world is. I got involved a few years back to try and get this thing going with a little bit of the education background that I have and working with Todd, and I think we got something that we can really put together here.
Cool.
Thanks, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Todd, for both being here. Um, so, if some of you are watching this right now and you're thinking to yourself, "Well, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if I have the experience or the capabilities to do this type of thing," and you're thinking to yourself, "I'm going to get off of this right now," I want you to hit pause real quick. Not literally, just take a moment here. Because the first thing I really want to do, and I would like Todd and Steve to maybe speak to, is is to dispel what may be some common misconceptions when it comes to being a trainer, right? There are things that I'd like them to speak on. So Todd, when you think about somebody who wants to be a trainer, if somebody's watching this recording right now and they're thinking, I'm not capable of doing this, what would you tell that individual?
Well, there are a couple of misconceptions that come to mind. One is, oh, I have to be a good speaker. No, no. You don't have to start out as a good speaker. I didn't. And I think Steve would echo that for his own experience. To be real honest, for the type of training that most technicians need, what they don't need is a sage on the stage. They don't need somebody who can captivate an audience with eloquent oratory. No, that's not the point. The point really is skill development. And what that really means is about 50% or more of the time you spend in a training environment is focused on the participants doing the stuff that you're trying to help them learn. We learn by doing. So the the remainder of that time, if 50% or more is participant activity, then the remainder of the time comes in little 15 or 20-minute bursts of explaining, okay, here's the next step. Or and the other part of this is, and I think this is where the real teaching comes along. And I know Steve can attest to this. The real teaching comes along is when we're cruising around helping people while they're doing their student participation stuff and having those individual conversations where we catch somebody doing something right and we say, good job, and we reinforce that. Or they've got questions, they're struggling, and we answer those questions. That's where learning really happens. So being a good speaker is not critical. I mean, it's nice, but it comes with experience. So diving in, you don't have to be a good speaker. A couple other things that come to my mind is, oh, well, I have to be an expert on the topic. Um, I'm going to say no, mainly because we're teaching fundamentals. Okay. So if you're teaching fundamentals, then what you're if you're presenting, you present the little part of it where you're presenting fundamental stuff, not super deep. A little story in really an observation during my 25 years of full-time teaching, I hired and mentored several part-time instructors, people who did for a living during the day what they, would teach for us in the evenings and weekends. And generally, what I found was the people that struggled the most as instructors were the folks that were experts because they had a hard time getting down to the level of entry level folks. In fact, the most effective instructors I've found, have said, hey, 90% of this stuff I'm very comfortable with. This 10% over here that's part of the curriculum, I'm not real strong on. And with some reassuring, they realize that, okay, well, I can study up enough to help them understand the basics. Here's the key. If they're paying attention to the things they struggle with as they're trying to learn this new stuff, those things they struggle with are the very things that guide them to help their students. To say, I struggled with this. What helped me get over the hump was this, and I want to share that with you. I call that the learner's perspective. And the effective instructors are not experts. They maintain the learner's perspective. The other thing I see as misconceptions, and then Steve, I'll invite you to chime in here. Is some people will say, well, teach, I can get in front of the classroom and I can help people do the stuff, but I don't have the first clue about how to put together a whole course, whether it's a couple of days, or a day or a couple of days or a week. Don't know how to put that all together. I having to create content from scratch sounds intimidating. It does. I agree. That does sound intimidating. But the good news here is, um, my company, Meridian Geospatial Consulting, um, my relationship with MSPS is such that um, I'm sharing course content. Whatever I develop for MSPS, my intent is to share that with MSPS in perpetuity. So I can certainly, I want to help MSPS stand up a program. I'm going to share my content with you. And is it really my content? No, I mean, it's knowledge that comes from the industry. But, I've organized it and presented it in a handful of ways. And my purpose is to share it all with you effectively, to give it to y'all. And in the long run, once I'm out of the picture, it belongs to MSPS to work with, and MSPS and the instructors that some of you may become. So I'm not going to be around forever. I hope MSPS is going to be around a lot longer than I ever will be. And if what I can do is share what I have to help new instructors get started, then that's exactly what I want to do. So those are three things I see as misconceptions. Steve, do you have anything you want to add to that?
As far as teaching, yeah, it's to some people it's a scary situation. Oh, I can't teach. When I first started doing it at my college, it was, it's just taking what you know and sharing it. That's literally what teaching is, especially
right.
in this situation, because it's just, what have you done for a living for however long you've done it, be it 10, 15, 40 years. All you're doing is sharing your experiences and helping people do what you do. And we're not getting into crazy stuff. It's just the basics is what the survey technician class is, because it's
Yep.
meant for people just starting out. And some of the comments that we have gotten back is when they're out there with their crew chiefs and that, their crew chiefs tell them what to do, but they don't tell them why. They don't tell them what there is that they need to do or why they have to do things, and or why you do things certain ways. That's what we're there to do in a learning experience, show them what needs to be done, how it gets done, and I'll give them the opportunity to make mistakes, because mistakes are going to happen in real life. And it's
Yeah,
best to happen in a classroom type situation than when
absolutely.
somebody's, footing the
Yeah.
bill for a client, and they're like, well, why did he sit there for an hour wondering what he's doing? So it just kind of takes it out of that situation and puts it in a classroom where they can learn, they can make mistakes, they can ask questions. The only bad question is one that isn't asked. That's
That's
my
right.
belief. So,
Yeah. And Todd and Steve, yeah, you both hit on a couple of things. Uh, Todd, I think the key is to maintain that learner's perspective, like you said. If you go into something like this and you maintain that learner's perspective, in my experience, that's the key, right? If you go in there and say, that's the perspective I'm walking in here. And then as far as your point about obviously if there's a thought that you need to develop the curriculum, that is a daunting task, right? But we're fortunate enough where you're helping MSPS develop this information. And Steve, to your point, you're really just sharing information. There's really nothing, I think about when I see a speaker or I see somebody give a presentation on boundaries, for example. This is all known information. They're just presenting it. They're just saying, here's the information, here's some of my opinions on it, but those are all very good facts. Maintaining that learner's perspective, I think, is key. So thank you, Todd. Thank you, Steve, for kind of dispelling some of those misconceptions. So with those things in mind and understanding that anybody can be a instructor if you have that learner's perspective, I wanted just to hit real quick on the MSPS strategy for survey technician training. Can you speak a little bit, Todd and Steve, as to this upcoming boot camp, right? What are some of the skills that we hope to teach our technicians? What are some of the things that you hope to communicate? And what type of candidates are you looking for this type of training? Do you think you could speak to that a little bit, Todd?
Sure. Well, first of all, the purpose of the survey of boot camp is to build technician skills, um, to really enhance their competence and to enable future growth. Steve said something a little bit ago that certainly resonates with me, and that is that a lot of our people, we work so hard to get them productive that we focus on the what that they have to do and not focus on the why. But it's the why, understanding the why behind the what, helps people become troubleshooters, to move beyond being able to press the right buttons in the right situation and get to the right spot, but be able to untangle things when they go south. We can all think of horror stories in the field or in the office where we had things to untangle. So what our people can expect is, first of all, day one, there's going to be we're going to do a level circuit. What's surprising to me is how few of the participants we've had in the last couple offerings of Surveyor Boot Camp have run a level circuit. Maybe they've held the rod, but they don't understand. They have not learned what's going on. Um, and so we're helping them master the basic, an auto level, how to take notes, how to organize the whole process, and do all the computations so that it all makes sense. Day two, we're going to combine the skills they got in day one with some cloth taping, and we're going to do a little um, cloth tape topo, doing station and offset measurements using the cloth tape on a small survey area that is small enough that they can plot it, that they can plot it by hand later that day on an 18 by 24 vellum sheet, and they'll plot a plan view, a profile view, and cross sections. And this is one of those that by the time they get to the end of it, they're pretty engaged, and the feedback we've gotten has consistently said that, wow, this has helped me understand construction plans significantly, plan, profile, and cross section. And when they have to create it from their own survey data, oh, it's wonderful. Day three, we're gonna we're gonna turn angles with conventional total stations. And we're going to turn sets of them. They start to understand this difference between accuracy and precision. And there is a difference, and they need to understand how we get these error estimates. So we're helping them understand. Some would call it robot appreciation day, because we're not going to have the robots out there. But the cool thing is now we can compare the elevations determined by total station measurements with the elevations that we got from leveling. Then day four, uh, Siler Geospatial has supported us and will continue to, showing up with enough rovers that every two people's got a rover, and we're going to, most people are going to be fairly comfortable with the process, but what we'll do is, again, collect elevations and horizontal positions that we can compare with total station and leveled elevations. We're going to compare an alignment that they laid out with total stations, a straight line, and find out that GPS is going to have a hard time really calling that a straight line because of the errors inherent. Um, and there's a couple other things we're going to do along the way, give them some instruction on why that does what it does. And, the fifth day and the half day at the end, we're going to be wrapping up a bunch of things, tying a bow on it, finishing drawings and computations. But the beauty of it is by the end of the week, they're going to understand the why behind the boss saying, don't use the GPS for this, use this other tool. Because by then they will have seen a direct comparison of the errors and accuracy and precision of multiple methods. But we're also going to help them start to understand some construction plans along the way. And we're really focusing on the why and their fundamental survey methods to enable them for problem solving. What do you think, Steve? Does that nail it down?
That pretty much nails it. A lot of the comments that we've gotten back is from people that are, this is directed to people with about a year or less experience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
their previous experience is, the crew chief tells me what to do.
Right.
That's what he knows. He doesn't know the whys or any of that. And after by the end of the week, they start understanding the whys, why it is they do things a certain way. Why do you use a level to run a level loop instead of just shooting with GPS and calling it good? And it's really beneficial for them to know the why rather than just being a doer. Was what I was always. I had a math teacher that said, "Don't be a thinker, don't be a doer." if you think and you know, if you think about a problem, you understand the situation and not just try to get to the end result, you're better off farther down the line. And that'll help
Oh, absolutely.
everybody in the long run.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree, Steve. And Todd, to your point of the why, it's so important, right? Because stuff goes wrong in the field, stuff happens, and they
Right.
need to know, well, how can I, you know, what other avenues can I go through to troubleshoot this? And you made that comment earlier, right?
Yeah.
Being able to troubleshoot things. If you don't understand the why behind something, it can be very difficult to troubleshoot it. If somebody's going out with a GPS and just pushing the button and something goes wrong, um, it can be very difficult for them to troubleshoot those issues.
I think there's another piece of this we've kind of danced around here, and that is matching the tool to the task. Once people understand that one tool is better for some tasks than others, then they can, then they can select the right tool, or they can understand why the boss selected that tool. So matching the tool to the task is not just a unique idea for surveyors. I mean, it's all throughout all industries. So equipping our people to do that is paramount for their capacity as future troubleshooters.
Yeah, we've had some uh, this week and last week. We've experienced some issues with our cores has been down quite a bit. Steve, you probably and we've had several crews call us and say, "Hey, my GPS is down. I can't do anything." Right? It's like, no, you can. You just have to use a different
Uh,
tool, right?
right.
But these are individuals who that's how they learn, right? They learn, and it's no fault of theirs, but there's no mentorship, and that's what I view some of this as, right? We need to, the days of the 2-3 person crew is gone, and that mentorship is gone, and we need to evolve a little bit as a profession and understand that the days of the 1 person crew, that's probably, 1 or 2 person crew, that's the way we're moving forward. And we need to evolve that mentorship into this training program. And that to me is the big cultural shift we talked about. It's, it's no longer, well, I'm going to go work with my crew chief for 10 years. He's going to train me and then I'm going to go. No, these days it's, you're going to graduate, you're going to come into a firm, you're a crew chief or close to it.
Yeah.
So that's the big cultural shift that I see.
You know, I've seen a parallel to this in the construction world. Part of my role in my previous role at the community college level involved, construction basic skill training. And I have seen students come in, let's say they grew up in a construction environment, construction family, or agriculture at the agricultural world, and they can pull the trigger on power tools pretty well, but put a screwdriver in their hand and they're lost. Or other hand tools. Now, I don't want to take this analogy too far, but it is an analogy. You know, our technology is cool, and but there are times when it's not the most appropriate tool, and sometimes it's our fallback. You know, we've gotten to the point where it might seem strange to somebody to get out an extension cord and plug in a drill that doesn't have a battery, you know, but it does the job just fine. So, you know, again, those are analogies, and that certainly affects us as an industry. So if we're gonna prepare people for the future, We also have to help them understand that their options are not always the newest tools.
Yeah, I agree, Todd, 100%. And you know, the reality of it too is there are this can be a difficult thing for people to get involved in, right? Because you have, if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm distracted by, other things, right? I have other business demands I would really encourage anybody watching this to think about the long-term effects of this on your business and on the profession as a whole. Uh, I have a strong passion. I know Todd does, Steve does, for this type of training and building this kind of pool of instructors. And as the chair of the education committee or any committee, we can't do it alone. We need more people out there getting more instructors, getting the interest. So, Steve, from your perspective, when you think about getting more instructors and training more instructors, what does that look like to you? Like how do if someone's watching this and thinking, man, you want to build this this pool of instructors, it seems like a massive task, right? For MSPS and for us to have instructors to for 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, right? This is just the beginning in my mind. We are trying to build something here. Todd has helped build the curriculum. We are now trying to build the kind of surrounding infrastructure. So to you, for you, and thinking about how we get more instructors, what does that look like to you when you think about that?
All it really takes is somebody to want to show somebody what they know, what they've done for however long they've done it. It's not rocket science. It's the basics, and it's just a matter of, pretending you're a crew chief teaching somebody new how to do the job. It's boiled down to simple little tasks and teaching them the whys instead of just what to do. Like we were talking about, is if you know why you're doing something, it'll A, turn out better product, B, it'll teach them to be more thinkers than doers, and it'll show them the whys that provide more experience, better quality, and gets them more involved in the process.
I
Yeah,
would
I
add to that. Go ahead.
nope. I was going to pass it over to you, Todd.
Okay, well, I would add to that 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 happens not only on the instructor student level, but on the instructor co-instructor level. I think the path forward for MSPS or any similar association is to say, hey, we value mentoring. Well, let's do mentoring on the instructor level. Um, Steve has some great experience, and instructors can learn from Steve, can learn from me, and I am absolutely very interested and welcoming for anybody that wants to become an instructor. Understand that you don't have to do it by yourself. Come start out as maybe you say, I'm going to be an observer slash assistant, and then I'll see how things go. One of the things I can say about my own previous experience is, the fellow who took my place on the construction side of the house in my previous job had been one of my students. And along the way, while he was a student, he worked for one of our other instructors as a classroom assistant. He was just there to be an extra set of eyes and ears and hands. And help people stay safe, and answer the questions and just help with the logistics. But eventually, he's I'm kind of enjoying this. Um, so we said, well, why don't you be a co-instructor with us? Oh, okay. So we shared the teaching load. And then it progressed, and we said, hey, could you be a part-time instructor and kind of handle this course on your own? And he did. Well, one thing leads to another. Now he's a full-time faculty member there. That kind of progression is something that I think brings people along. But if he had said, I don't have any teaching experience, I want to be a full-time instructor. Whoa, that's a big change. What we're inviting people here to do, and Steve and I, are, I think, well prepared to do this, is to say, come join us. You're not in this alone. You can benefit from our hard work and learn from us. And, along the way, we're going to have plenty of conversations about what this is probably something we need to improve on, as a team of instructors. Here, let's take a good hard look at how well the people are learning. Um, we can talk about instructional design. We can evaluate our own stuff together. But please understand that, if those of you who are watching this are interested, you don't have to do it alone. We are offering to do this with you. If we're going to grow our own people and grow our own trainees, our own technicians, well, then we also need to grow our own instructors. And if you look seriously at any significant training, any organization that does training, they have a train the trainer component built in. You know, uh, Whether you're talking civilian, military, government, there's a train the trainer effort embedded in every serious long-term training effort. And, you know, we want to help get that jump started here in Michigan.
And I
Yeah,
can make
thanks.
one point here too. I'm sorry to jump in here, but I also want to make the point that don't think that the only opportunity for training is our 5-day surveyor boot camp either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for
so,
asking.
we've got several other opportunities. We've done several other seminars, technician training seminars throughout the years that are
Mhm.
1-day classes, 2-day classes. So
Right.
it's not the commitment of, okay, we're going to throw you into surveyor boot camp for 5 full days. It's not that at all. I think
Yeah.
that attending that and getting a sense of the components of that help, because we have
Yes.
pulled out specific elements of that session and develop them a little bit further for additional training. We've done a precision and
Absolutely.
accuracy seminar that was, a 2-day seminar just on that. We've done a construction staking seminar that was just on that. So please don't think again that the only opportunity that we're looking for here is to throw somebody into a 5-day session.
Yeah,
Well,
and I had this written down, Michelle. The Education Committee, MSPS, we are looking for partners, right? People to partner with us. This isn't a, you know, Todd or Steve or me at the top of the heap saying, hey, you're going to do this, this, and this, right? We are looking for partners to help us
yes.
develop these programs. To Michelle's point, the boot camp we're talking about specifically because that will give who's ever watching this an opportunity, like Todd said, to come visit, see what it's about, see what being an instructor is all about. And that's kind of the short term goal here. The bigger goal, like we talked about, is this cultural shift, right? And getting people to partner with us to help us through training efforts throughout the year. So yes, Michelle, thank you for making that point.
Along with that, coming up at our annual conference in February, there are a couple of Well, one of those days, there are a couple of sessions coming up that are focused on technicians. So there's an opportunity for some, some collaboration there if need be, if that's the most appropriate venue. So we can explore that too.
Yeah, and if you are watching this, myself, um, along with members of the workforce development committee, will be having a roundtable at the conference as well to kind of continue to talk about these things. Because just like with any big change, we have to continue to have these conversations, kind of beat the drum, and I guess get as much interest as we can just to keep it alive. So, uh, Todd, Steve, with respect to potentially having somebody visit an upcoming training event, if somebody's watching this and thinking, yeah, I think I'm interested in seeing what this is all about. Uh, I know we were talking about the boot camp, so let's just keep that one in our minds. What does that process look like for you, Todd, if somebody is interested to say, yeah, I want to see how Todd and Steve do this, and I'd like to learn from them? What would you suggest they do next?
Well, I would say first of all, uh, reach out to me, to Steve, to you, to Michelle or Kisty, with MSPS, and just say, hey, I'm interested in coming. You know, y'all have y'all certainly have Michelle's email address, and she can connect us with you. And I would say I would love to. Let's start with a phone conversation, just an introduction, and say, hey, when do you want to come? What do you want to see? And even if that means, hey, I want to drop in for an hour. What's the best day to drop in for an hour? Okay, yeah, we can do that. Um, but just let us know you're interested, and then we can start a conversation. And you may be saying, I'm not sure this is for me. It's okay. That's okay. Come and see. And if you say, nah, it's not for me, okay. But you may know somebody that's a good fit. So the more people that come out and see what's going on, will lead to, hopefully connecting potential instructors, future instructors, with the work we're doing, which, I'm committed to doing this as long as I can, but eventually I will be out of the picture. But uh, honestly, just come, let us know, and we'll start the conversation.
Steve, did you have anything you wanted to add to Todd's comment?
That kind of summed it up. I mean,
Yeah.
really, if you wanna, if you just want to see what it's like, let us know, and you can that during the 1 day or 1 week um survey tech course, pick a day, come out, see what it's like. It's not
Yeah,
rocket science.
I agree. I don't think there's a hard commitment that has to be given. Like you said, Todd, well, I can make it for an hour this day or that day. That's totally acceptable. So,
Yep.
see if you like it. If you get there and you're thinking this looks like something I could do, great. If you don't, to Todd's point, well, do you know anybody? And the more voices we get out there, the more people we get talking, the better. Uh,
That's right.
the education committee definitely doesn't want to be the only voice. We need as many advocates for this as we can get. So, yeah, get in touch with me, Todd, Steve, Michelle, Kisty. I think all those emails are out there. So I know we're a little bit early here, guys, but I really appreciate the conversation. Steve, thank you for all your support and the great work you do, for MSPS. It's very much appreciated. Todd, your continued work and collaboration with MSPS is very much appreciated. The curriculum you put together, I've enjoyed working with you in the time I've been the committee chair. So thank you.
Kiddings me.
I guess before we sign off here, is there anything you, Todd, or Steve, or Michelle wanted to add?
Well, I
No,
would
I guess
certainly
the only
want
thing
to.
I would say is, does anybody right now have any questions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody want to sign on the dotted line? Come on, we'll take you. No, just kidding.
If you're on this call, we're signing you up.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
Yuri, Dan.
Dan
Yeah.
and Bruce. Yep, we look forward to having you as instructors.
Thanks, everyone. I tell you, that was a great conversation, very informative. I would like
Hey, Bruce, I think
but it's hard for me to leave the profession.
hey,
Go ahead.
Bruce, I think you cut out there a little bit there.
Yeah, I've got bandwidth, I'm told right now, but I would like to go up and visit for a day or maybe even more. And I've been retired for 5 years, but I and this meeting and conversation, Todd, Steve, very informative. I didn't really know what you did at the boot camp that much, but it's very, very informative. Appreciate it.
Bruce, you're always welcome.
Thank
You know,
Okay.
I just want to applaud you guys, Joel, and Michelle and all the other leadership within MSBS. The whole idea of a cultural shift is, I'm grateful that you are seeing it as that. We have gotten to where we are as an industry gradually, because of market changes that have been occurring, and there's layers of this, and I don't want to belabor any part of those changes. We could do that in another forum. But really, what you're saying when you say, "Hey, we need a cultural shift," is that something's not working. Something's not working, and we want to move forward to something that does work. And building training into our culture, when training used to happen really kind of naturally via mentoring, is an acknowledgement that things have changed and we're not able to go back to what we had. So we have to approach it differently. It is a cultural shift. It's a different way of thinking. And I appreciate the fact that you're looking that far ahead, and being real honest about the truth that we're all facing. So, um, uh, when faced with that, it can seem kind of daunting. So, you just say, "Oh, we need to adapt our culture." I think for leaders listening to this message, it really challenges all of us in leadership roles to be very diligent and patient in getting the word out there that yes, training, not only training, but training trainers is a part of who we are and who we will be, in order to prepare the next generation to ascend into leadership roles. So good for you guys. It's an honor to work with folks who are forward thinking, and I'm happy to support you. I'm happy to work with you, and I'm looking forward to really the growth of the technician folks, all across Michigan. And you guys are really kind of leaders, in the region. And there are other folks outside Michigan that are watching what you guys are doing. So I'm grateful for the impact you guys are having on not just Michigan, but the region.
Well, thank you, Todd. And yeah, I think it's important for MSPS and other state societies too, just to be proactive and understand that change is going to happen, whether we like it or not. The profession is evolving, and if we don't evolve with it, we could just be staring down the same problems in 10, 20, 30 years. So to me, this is an important step. This is an important step in moving forward and evolving and understanding, to your point, that training that used to happen in the field just doesn't happen anymore. So, but thanks again, Todd. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for being here. Steve, thanks again. Michelle, thank you for everything you do. And I think with that we can sign off, everybody.
Okay.
Great. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thank you.
All right.
You too, Michelle.
Thanks.
See you.
Take care.
Thank you.
See you.